industry said, if you were to try to do the low-cost carrier model, the LCC model of a long haul using big planes, it will fail. People have tried to do it before, from the 70s, Laker Express, Sir Freddie Laker in the UK, People Express in the US in the 80s. Some of you from Hong Kong might remember an airline called Oasis Hong Kong, 2005, 2006. All of them who've tried to do this in the past, all failed. And all the proven successful global leaders, the Southwest, EasyJet, Ryanair, all said the model works when you use small planes and you fly short distances. So his own board of directors and shareholders said, cannot be done, impossible. We will not risk this foolhardy venture. And so he thought, okay, fine. Then I'm going to create a separate independent company. So our X Factor lab, and that's how the X Factor name, the AirAsia X name came aboard. Raise our own private equity money, people who are willing to risk on an unproven idea. And then he said, I've got to find someone who's gullible enough, who doesn't know that you cannot do this. That's where I came into the picture. That was the mission, to do something that no one in the world said could be done. And I think the interesting journey, and it's a story far from completion, is one of constantly being ruthlessly focused on targeting one customer segment when the whole industry was built on a completely different customer perspective, relentlessly trying and iterate to find what works, what doesn't work. Now, the thing is, that only works if you can fill up those planes, right? And the challenge is, if you were to simply rely on trying to capture market share, trying to capture existing customers from the Singapores and Cathays, that is hard because brands are powerful. There's a lot of brand loyalty. So we've got to be able to create new customers. And this is where there's another big difference between how traditional airlines are run. We've reversed that process. Don't wait for the customer to make the decision. Go in their face and tell them to fly to places that they've never even dreamt possible before. So now, the key difference is, how do you keep introducing new stuff, right? It's not just simply about providing a cheap seat. And this is where it's all about thinking differently and the power of observing how customers use your product and then thinking, hey, there's a different way of doing this. So people thought we were completely crazy to be the world's first low-cost carrier to have, and Gita, we also have flatbed business class seats on a low-cost carrier. Till today, we are AirAsia X, the world's lowest unit cost operator. We've just found a way of doing it differently. All of these examples of doing things differently, what you have to learn is, if you're doing something that no one else in the world is doing, it's impossible to get it 100% right. You're bound to make mistakes, right? No one is a perfect genius to get everything right. And so I think the key point for us is creating a culture that embraces mistakes, that embraces taking risks, doing something different, but not being hung up about if it doesn't go well. I think that's a big issue with a lot of corporations, especially here in Asia. When you're doing something new, right, you can never get it all right. So it's just about doing 10 things. And if you get 5 or 6 things right, that's great. That's a good day, right? Embrace the fact that you will get 4 out of 5 things wrong and just move on and pivot. And we really, keep drumming this in ourselves. Believe the unbelievable, dream the impossible, never take no for an answer. And we celebrate when we do crazy things like going to Antarctica or climbing Mount Everest, right? Because it creates the culture that nothing is impossible.